Suppose now that it's good and hot, it'd be a good time to check the transmission fluid. So let's do that. So that Lucas has a consistency that's kind of like the old STP that we used to get back in the 50s and 60s, 70s. It was always hard, especially when it's cold. And they would let it sit on the motor and warm up, or if it was winter time, they'd let it sit on the heater inside the gas station there. The guy that pumped the gas would smoke a cigarette and tell a few stories and stuff like that. I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm not going to smoke a cigarette, but I'll sit here and I'll wait for that to warm up. If it gets good and warm, it'll pour in there real good. So it was down, not quite, well, it looked like it needed about a quart to be just perfect. So a quart of this stuff here. So I'll splash that over in there in a minute or two. Keep an eye on the temperature here. We're at, we're still at a very good temperature. It's right about 180 right there, I believe. I'm seeing that good all the way from over this side of the car. I still want to find the oil pressure gauge for this. Well, I got a lot of things. It'll take me time. It'll take me time to get everything just perfect. And then once I do, I'll take her down the road and see how that sounds. Over the door. It actually idled her down a little bit more. It's still pretty fast. Might be the best thing for me to do is just walk away from this sandwich. It's about lunchtime anyway, and just let that run down in there. And then when I come back, I try to come back before it gets completely cool, warm it up good. Check the fluid. You check the transmission fluid with it idling in park. Sisal right here. Check in park, transmission hot, idling vehicle. Alrighty then, I went in and had me a sandwich. Actually, I had me a sandwich and I took a nap. For goodness sakes. So the car's pretty cooled off, according to that gauge there. Let's just see how she starts now. Oh, that's lovely. It wasn't cold, but it was cold-ish. So I'm gonna let it warm up, and and then recheck the transmission fluid in part and all. And all the, looks like I can tighten that up with it running. I can't imagine why it's loose. Well, I got a wrench probably sitting out here. That's good. Now that had water in it, and it doesn't now, so that means the water went in there and then it came back into the radiator, which is what it's supposed to do when it cools off. So that's good. Working the way it's supposed to. Easy now. Been hot enough to check that, but I'll go ahead and check it anyway just to see what it's showing right now. Okay. I aired the tires up. I had a line, an electric line that was kind of shorting out on the ground. I taped up under there and I blew the spider webs out of the wheels and off the grill and stuff. And I was thinking I might splash a little gas in here and then take her down the road. Non-ethanol gas in all my cars. Not in the Toyota, but all my normal American-made cars. And I used to use one of those electric battery-powered pumps, and I really liked that thing, but I found out that they don't last very long. I went through several, and they kept going bad on me after a short time. So anyway, I got me a little pump line. That's what this is, and got a little bulb on it. You just pump it up and get the gas flowing. Kind of like those, and if y'all ever had those old kerosene tanks, they used to be pretty popular. You could pump kerosene in them and burn them and burn a fire in them to heat your cabin up. I used to live in an old cabin up in Dawsonville, not too far from Amquola Falls, and we used to keep that kerosene heater going all the time there. But that little pump there works good. So I'm going to put this in here, and then I'm going to take her just for a little spin and try her out. I did test the lights and the turn signals and stuff like that there. So it'll just be interesting to see how she goes down the road. What else was I going to tell you? I don't know. Must not have been too important though. So I'm looking at her and I like the looks of her. She looks good. I like the stance. I can't. I'm trying to remember why I decided I didn't like this car anymore, and I think it's just because I spent so many times putting motors in and out of it, and it's a long story about this car and motors. When I bought the car, it had a good motor in it. This car has a hood that has an opening in it, and the opening was closed off. See, this is the opening here. I have since closed that off with some metal. But they put a breather on there that wouldn't stop water, so the water filled up with water and hydrolocked and messed that motor up. So I had another motor that I got from my brother-in-law's 84. 84. Yeah, I think it was an 84 Chevy truck. Put it in there. It was about wore out when I put it in there, but I ran that thing for years. And then I just decided, well, actually what I did is I still had that other motor, the Hydrolock, when I gave it to somebody who rebuilt it. And then swapped it back to me. And I put it in here and ran it, and it started overheating and then had some pretty major problems. And I pulled it out, took it apart, and turned out the cam bearings were not lined up when they put it back together, and so that caused it to burn itself up, more or less. So then, let's see what happened after that. I think I bought an engine and built it and put it in there and ran it for a little while. And it was one of them big horsepower engines. I spent a lot of money, big fat cam and oversized pistons and aluminum heads and just all kinds of stuff. Edelbrock and Holly intake. In fact, I've still got the Edelbrock Holly intakes and the Edelbrock carburetor up there and a whole bunch of stuff like that. But then that engine, it was interesting. I had that engine running on stand, and I was looking at how fast it burned up gas. I had it sit on an engine stand with a gallon jug, and I'd crank it up, and it'd just suck all the gas right out of that gallon jug, just lickety split. And I thought, man, it's going to be hard to feed this thing, if it's going to burn gas that quick. So anyway, it started rattling after I put it in. Well, I started taking it apart from the top down, and by the time a big hawk just came up from the backyard there. By the time I got it apart, I figured out that the flex plate was loose, and that's what was rattling. So actually, that was probably an okay engine, but it was already out of there. And by then, I was just sick of it. So I said I was going to sell it, and I sold all my engine parts. I had a lot of engine parts, a lot of engines. I had engines I'd gotten from race car driver up in Maine and different people down through the years. I'd gotten a lot of engines. Sold them all. So this sat in the yard. Nobody bought it. And somebody ran this little rebuilt 283 on Marketplace, and I went down and he cranked it up and run good, sounded good. And I thought, well, I always wanted a 283 in that anyway. So I brought it home, put it in there, and it's what I got in it now. And I'm happy with it. Now this ugly stuff here is the wiring for the fan, and this is all going to change. I think what I'm going to do eventually is, I was studying on this, and it looks like there's a place in this radiator where I can put in a sending unit, and put a sending unit for a heat thermostat that will turn the fan on and off. But I don't want to do that yet, just because of the money it costs and everything. So what I'm going to do is, right now that's just hot wired to the battery. Well, not the battery, the ignition switch. So when I crank it, that just comes on and stays on. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put a toggle switch on there and put it up under the dash where I can cut it on and off, and I'm just going to run it that way. I will wire this thing up out of the way, just to make sure it don't get in that. I got some wire I just picked up off the ground over here just a little bit ago. Anyway, I'm gonna wire a toggle switch on there where I can turn this fan on and off, and just run it that way until I kind of got everything troubleshooted else, and then I'll probably come back to that. And I just put this up here enough to get it out of the way. And then after I get all that done, I'll come back and put a good switch on it. It's a process. Get every little thing like I want it. And I was thinking I still got the electric power assist unit to go up under the dash to convert this over to power steering, and I've still got this thing has disc brakes on it, but I never put a master cylinder booster, so I can put that master cylinder booster on there and make it into a power brake unit. I did test the windshield wipers a while ago, and they work off vacuum, so that's one thing that does work. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Looks to me like this thing's drained all the gas into it here, so Pull that up, pull that out. I'll jump in and take it down the road for a little spin. See how she goes. I should or could talk about this gas tank. Apparently these cars are kind of hard to get gas tanks for them. Some people run Mustang gas tanks in them. And I've been looking online at a Rambler site, and they've been talking about somebody they knew of that had some gas tanks for sale that would fit these. And apparently maybe they're a little hard to find or something. And apparently there's several different tanks. It'll fit different years, like a 64 and a 65 and a 66 and a station wagon. Different cars take different tanks. So anyway, this tank is good, but it's bent. It looks like somebody drove this up on top of a snowbank and it crushed the bottom of the tank up. And there's a hose that runs down there, and when you put your gas filler in this, if you put it on high speed, it'll spit back out at you. So I need to go in there and take that tank off and beat it out, get that dent out of the bottom of it, put it back on there, and I can probably use this tank. It's a good tank. Never had any problem with it or anything. So yeah. So all right, let's put the. Well, I didn't get it all in there, but I got a lot of it. So let's take it this way. I'll move this golf cart. By the way, this is 3M Power timing light. I've been thinking for years one of these days I'm going to drive back out to Washington State and take that back to him. That'd be an interesting trip. You know, he drove here from his house once, and he left that here when he left, so I think it'd be fun to take it back to him. Seems appropriate. One thing I'm going to do too is that thing has air shocks on the back, and any of you who's ever driven a car with air shocks, you know they're really stiff. You go over a bump and it'll bounce you up in the air. I'd like to swap that over for some regular shocks. I want to get my wallet because the police like for you to carry your driver's license. And I'll carry my phone in case I want to call somebody. I might want to call Wayland Wire. In fact, I might do that. Just call Wayland Wire and say, "Hey, Wayland Wire, I'm out here driving my Rambler. So I'll give you a call." It'd be fun, wouldn't it? I might do that. And I got my tea in case I want to drink something. The wind is blowing my decorations off the porch here. Oh well. I've had worse things happen.